Welcome back, episode 85. And in this episode, Matt, Jill, and Lacy sit down with Stephanie and Dwayne. And just full disclosure, I am not present for this episode. This is just Matt and Jill. And I'm going to go ahead and let them take it away. So go ahead, guys. Take it away.
Hey, everybody. We're here today recording another bonus episode, and we have a couple here. I want to introduce everybody. Of course, we have Jill.
Hey, guys.
And I'm Matt. This is Lacy.
Hello.
We have her with us. She's been on before, and she has a couple of friends, Stephanie and Dwayne, that from the Monroe, Louisiana area, and she's kind of going to introduce them, and we're going to let them tell their story today and kind of their experience, strength, and hope. So, Lacy, do you want to introduce them?
Yeah, so Stephanie and Dwayne are some of my best friends that I actually met in Monroe when I was in the program there through some of the hardest times of my life. And we were all in Celebrate Recovery together and just built our life and a new foundation. And we've been together ever since. And I love them so much.
Love you too.
I love
And we're Jill and Mike and I all kind of were pretty solid AA people, you know, and that was our way of coming through, getting sober and doing that thing. And I thought it'd be interesting to have you guys because y'all are Celebrate Recovery and they're going to say CR. So folks that don't know what that is, we're kind of going to ask them some questions because we don't have a lot of Celebrate Recovery people on here. So it's, and look, we all, and we've said it many times on here, we share the way we got sober. That's the only way I can talk about it is what I did, what Jill did, what Mike did. But we have folks that have done things other ways, and we want you guys to hear that. This is for helping people with this problem of addiction. And so they've got a great story, and we're glad you guys are here. So, and they're not nervous at all. I promise they're not nervous. So, but y'all fire away. Tell us about yourself. Tell us what's happening.
Well, my name's Stephanie. My name is Stephanie, and I'm just going to give a little backstory on CR, the Celebrate Recovery. It is Christ-centered. It's just like AA, except for it's biblical steps.
Sure.
Anyone with hurts, habits, and hang-ups is more than welcome. I know Friday night at WFR
Triple
in
H.
West Monroe.
I got some of those. Hurts, habits, and hang-ups. I've never heard that one.
That's right. You never know.
Yeah.
Everybody got them.
Yeah,
Everybody got
absolutely.
them. And everybody's welcome. And it's a big family. But what would you say your takeaway from?
Probably for me, it would be getting closer to God and being able to work step study and just growing closer to God and getting my sobriety.
So before we go too deep into that, I want to hear your journey to getting to CR. So what got you there? What was the story of that? Because I have a lot of CR questions. I have friends in it that I don't know a lot about. I know kind of what y'all just told me. That's about all I know about Celebrate Recovery. But y'all go for it.
My little sheltered world knew nothing of AA, NA, CR, the alphabets, didn't know. I got myself into some trouble, went to prison. They shipped me up North Louisiana. We're both from Baton Rouge. I did some time, and I didn't have anywhere to go after prison. And I went and lived at the P31 house in West Monroe. Mm-hmm. At the P31 house is where I got my roots of Celebrate Recovery. We would go on Wednesday nights for our step study, Friday nights for CR Big Bash, and Saturday nights we'd also have CR. They have CR Sunday through Sunday, and you could probably hit up 2 meetings a day now because they are so everywhere.
That's great.
And if anybody is looking for a place, please reach out, and one of us will find you a home church to go to CR if you're interested in going. But that was my journey into CR. I dove in. I loved it. I loved that feeling of being loved back by my father that I never knew. And and it gave me a sense of safety and security. Whereas in the past, I had used drugs, chemicals, alcohol to place that, and I had found a new thing, and I had found a new high. Mm-hmm. And it was at CR with Jesus, at the feet of Jesus.
What was your so you got out of prison? You went the P31 sober living. It was a sober living.
Sober
house?
living house, yes.
So that was was it a Celebrate Recovery house? Like
No, they weren't a Celebrate Recovery quote unquote house.
just a meeting.
One of the strictest houses.
It is. It's
Yeah.
one of the.
That's good. Okay.
Tina, don't play.
No, I wrote the Book of James several times.
I understand.
For not
understand.
making your bed.
I can tell. I can tell you the first time I wrote the Book of James, she asked me what I got out of it, and I said nothing.
Blisters.
That was a mistake. I had to write it.
Wow. Okay. So, when did your addiction start?
My addiction started, I was about 12, 13 years old. My mom was an alcoholic and she was a pothead, and I did not want to be like that, but guess exactly where I turned. Mm-hmm. Not to say that my mom did not know it was wrong. She had an illness in herself. But so 12, 13, started smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol. That all through school. I thought I was okay because I didn't smoke weed or do drugs, but the alcohol, I was killing myself with the alcohol. It wasn't until like whenever I had my first son and they gave me pain medicine, that was nothing. It was when I was 24, I started on pain medicine. I had surgery, and they started giving me pain medicine after pain medicine after pain medicine, and then I was hooked. And so then I would go from one doctor to another state, to Mexico, to wherever, to get those pain pills. Doctor also put me on Xanax. Xanax, from what I've been told, whenever I was on Xanax, I was very mean.
That's very common aggression.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that I would steal from you and tell you right in front of your face and tell you I didn't do it.
Blackout, right?
Or help them look for it.
Help them look for it. Craziest things ever, y'all. First thing you do when you go to somebody's house is look for their medicine cabinet.
Oh, every time.
Yeah.
What's that joke or that thing on the internet about the guy said, I found a wallet in the parking lot today with $300 in it, and I went in the store and there was a lady walking around looking for her wallet that it was missing $300. So I gave her $50. I felt like I should bless her since the Lord blessed me. That's kind of yeah. That was my mentality back in the day. So.
Right.
They wouldn't have gotten $50 from me. That's more pills.
Right.
So the pill thing kind of took off. How old were you during this time?
Probably
how long?
about 24.
Okay.
And is that what led to your arrest?
I started getting in trouble at 18.
Okay. Yep.
Started getting in trouble at 18. My papa would get me out of trouble every time you turned around. But what led me to when I went to prison, I took advantage of my grandfather. Mm-hmm. And he wanted me to learn my lesson. He didn't want me to go to prison, but he wanted me to learn my lesson. And there was no teaching me because I could not come out and just say I did it.
Yeah. We're hardhead.
I couldn't, like I've said, no one wants to admit that they lied. Who wants to admit that they lied?
Right.
Well, I can sit here today and say I lied, but now the damage is done.
Yeah.
It's way easier to just pick up and say, hey, I lied, I'm sorry.
Right.
And
But isn't that such a big wall to kick
Oh
down?
man, we would. I mean, I wouldn't come off of anything.
Yeah.
No, I was taking
Deny,
it to my grave
deny,
forever.
deny.
Yeah. So, how long were you incarcerated?
They gave me a 5-year sentence.
You served.
Good time, I did a year and a half.
Okay. Makes sense. Were you at Tallulah?
I was at Ravel when they still had females.
Okay.
Did a lot of trustee work. Was a trustee for the work release there and did, what do you call it? The law library.
Yeah.
Filed plenty of divorces for inmates. I
Yes.
can tell you that.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit. Not only in like at substance abuse facilities, but in prison.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So that's where ultimately the addiction was a codependency. I had a codependency on a guy that I thought, we all think this guy would have me like I have him. He was in and out of prison. And all my money would go to putting money on the phone for him, for my drugs, my shopping. So there was pawpaw to pay my bills. And that's where that got me. Now, once I got out of got out of prison and went to P31, it was not an overnight, like, okay, I'm out of prison and I'm totally healed.
And that's what I was going to ask you. When and where was the turning point where it was just like, something's got to change?
Well, now I remember the day that they brought me to jail and I walked into the cell and I was like, can somebody tell me when church service is? I was already digging for the source in the walls.
Awesome.
And I had gone to lockdown while I was in Ravel. I spent a week there and all you have is your Bible and a pad of paper and a bendy pencil. So you can't write anything with the bendy.
I never had one of those.
We use real pencils.
You see, our people got some new stuff I never heard of, you know?
It's more of a psych thing.
Yeah.
Vision thing.
Interesting.
It matches the tennis shoes with no laces in them. I got to look this up when we leave. My little mind is like, I need a bendy pencil.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bendy pencils. They have them at the psych hospitals. I can tell you.
They never gave me a pencil.
I didn't get one either.
Jill, we were a little more. They're like, no pencils. It's in our paperwork. Don't give them a pencil.
I didn't. Hey, they took away my belts and my shoestrings, though.
Yeah, they did that to me too.
We did have mirrors back then too, but anyway, I'm sure that's all changed.
They gave me.
Sorry.
They gave me a
Memories.
4X.
I went to the ghetto when they stole my shoes.
They stole my cigarettes. I got a carton of them. I was like, came in there. They're like, you're out. I'm like, really? Because I've had like 3 packs. Assholes.
Yeah. So I raised all kinds of holy hell. So that's probably why I got a bendy.
Yes, well.
Were you in the Ninja Turtle suit?
Did you have to?
Until my niece brought me clothes.
Oh, you were in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle outfit?
Like a don't kill yourself outfit.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
in
were
jail.
okay. So,
Yeah. No, in jail, not yet.
Oh, in jail?
Yeah.
No.
I was like, wait, what?
I was in green uniform.
Oh, I was in a green Ninja Turtle suit because I cried going in, so I was suicidal. They said.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I
You
know.
never show signs of weakness.
Oh, that was my first time in jail. I was scared to
Never
death.
show
I'm in
signs
jail.
of weakness. You go in hard.
I couldn't do it.
Y'all ever seen that
scared.
movie Stir Crazy with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder where
Yeah.
they go to jail and they're trying to act
Yeah.
tough? That was me when I went to jail.
I think I did
I'm
in
like,
like
I'm bad. I'm bad.
1981.
That's a classic, man. They're walking in there. We're bad. We're bad. You know. Yeah.
They're so stupid. I miss them.
But anyway, so you're kind of rocking and rolling there, but where's that thing that clicked with you that said, okay, I gotta get this together.
The
here.
ultimate surrender.
So I'm in lockdown, or what do you call it? Lockdown.
Lockdown.
And I have nothing but my Bible to read front and back, front and back, front and back. And I decided to take my bendy pencil and I wrote on the wall, knock and you shall receive, or ask and you shall receive, knock and it will be opened, seek and you shall find. And I wrote it, and it was a little bitty cell, and I just kept on writing it. And the next thing you know, because I had prayed and pleaded, God, please let me out of this little cell. And he had stripped me down of everything at that point. I had been by myself in a cell and just faced many of different things that I had done. And I lost track.
So you're in a cell.
I was in that cell.
Yeah, yeah.
I was in that cell.
And you wrote on the wall.
I wrote on the wall.
Did you catch a charge for destruction of estate property?
No, ma'am.
No,
No, ma'am.
Assault with a deadly weapon, a bendy pencil.
As soon as they opened that cell door,
You're like, I'm never going back.
make me.
So let me ask a question here too, because we have Dwayne here, and I know a little bit of the back part. But as you're at this point, Dwayne, how was y'all's friendship, relationship? How were y'all intertwined up to this point? What's kind of the history there of?
Well, I was still in Baton Rouge, living at my aunt's, doing heroin and smoking crack every night. I would talk to her on the phone, but we were never really a couple. You know, we were more like friends, brother and sister. We grew up together. She grew up right up the road from me.
So y'all knew each other all the way coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Gotcha.
she used to come pick me up in the morning to bring me to work and bring me to my drug dealer's house to get drugs before I go to work, and then pick me up from work, and then, you know.
Sure.
As long as he was picking up my weed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would bring him to get his drugs.
There you go.
It was
I mean, it's a
Hey.
win-win, you know.
Reciprocity.
That's right.
I had a hustle.
So she, as y'all get on into, 18, 20 years old, and you're starting to run into the prison type stuff, where are you at this time? You're in Baton Rouge still?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still in Baton Rouge. I was bouncing back and forth from my dad's house to my aunt's house to my other aunt's house, until they get tired of me and kick me out, and then I'd eventually go stay at my drug dealer's house. And I was just remember one morning I woke up on the floor in my aunt's house, and it could only be God, told me, like, he said, you're better than this, and I was. Mm-hmm. I knew I was. I was brought up way better than the way I'd been living, and I knew it was wrong what I was doing, but I could never get it and just say, give up the drugs and start living life right. But I called my mom and told her I was coming to visit her, and she really didn't want me there because she knew, I was always doing drugs. She was scared I was going to steal something or try to ask her for money. But she let me come see her, and I walked in. I gave her my keys, my wallet, and told her, I'm going to rehab, which wasn't my first time. She's heard it before. And I called my buddy who was up in Monroe, who was from Baton Rouge, who went through Lark, and told him I'm ready to, to hang it up. I'm going to get sober. And after he had called the people at Lark, and then they called me, I called Stephanie and told her, I was coming up to Monroe. And I can never forget, she started crying and so happy. She's always been a protector of me, but she she could never tell me no. You know, when I was in my addiction, she would, you know, she'd do whatever I asked her. And I stayed at my mom's for 5 days, waiting on Medicaid to be able to come to Baton Rouge from up here to pick me up. And when I got in the van to come up here, I don't know what it was, but like all the symptoms of withdrawal, you know, cravings, all that was just gone. And I haven't had that feeling in probably 10 years, you know?
Wow.
It's a miracle right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish that had happened to me.
My whole opiate addiction started in 2003. I was working in California, welding, and I hurt my back on the job, and they sent me to do an x-ray in California, and x-ray didn't show anything. Well, I knew I'd hurt my back. So I flew back home to Baton Rouge and went and saw a doctor in Baton Rouge, and he scheduled me a MRI, and it came back showing I had 2 herniated discs in my back, in my lower back. And from there, it was like they broke out the script pad and started writing scripts, you know. And then eventually I was doing the same thing. I'd go to other states and get medicine and go into pain management. And I could remember the doctors put me on the fentanyl patches. They call them the Duragesic patches. It's actually micrograms, you know, and it's almost like the morphine patches, you know, you put on your arm and it absorbs into your skin over time. And at the time I was married, and I had been taking the patches and cutting them open and squeezing the gel under my tongue. Well, we had no idea what fentanyl was. You know, this was way before it even is on, you know, nobody's ever heard of it really. And when she told my doctor that I was doing that, my doctor immediately called the ER, had them get me a bed ready. From there, I went to a rehab for 7 days, completed it, got out, and they wanted to send me to a sober house in New Orleans. And I went there, and I was able to stay 2 weeks. And this is back when Hurricane Katrina was coming, so they had to evacuate everybody. Well, I came back home, and it just started back up, you know, with pain pills. But
7 days ain't even long enough to get it out of your system
no.
at that level of opiate. I mean, like,
Opiates take about a week.
oh yeah, I mean, and he's basically graduated rehab,
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like yeah. I'm mean, I'm just basing
Was it like a
on
detox
mine.
only kind of deal? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I got you. That's
But
tough.
even like before I came up here, I went through Baton Rouge Behavioral, which is also does detox. And the whole time I was in there, they was detoxing me on Subutex, which it was doing nothing. You know, it was like all I kept thinking about was, man, when I get out of here, I'm going straight back to my, you know, my dealer. You know, but my cocaine addiction, my crack addiction began when I was 17, and I first smoked crack with my dad. He was the one who actually turned me on to crack.
Wow.
And it just, you know, from there, I was working in a plant, so I was making good money, you know, and I don't know if he's the type of person that will manipulate me or feed off of me, knowing that I got a good check coming this Thursday. You know, he wants to smoke crack, so he's going to go and get whatever little bit of crack he can get with his little bit of money. And when I get home, here, Dwayne,
keep it going,
here,
huh?
You want to hit, and then next thing you know, bam, it's on the whole weekend.
Yep.
So that came to an end too when I came up here in 2020.
That must have been hard.
Yeah, and
Real
I
hard.
mean, we went back home last weekend to the LSU game, and we actually went and stayed with him. Well, not with him, but he's, you know, a friend of his, where he's living in a camper back behind their house, and it didn't faze me a bit.
He's still
Oh, yeah.
active.
Very. Yeah, he'll never quit.
75 years old.
Damn.
Never
Yeah.
quit.
Bill Robertson beard.
Been doing it
Gotta
for
fight.
years, and he'll never ever quit.
Yeah.
I guess he likes that lifestyle he's living. You know, he's got extension cord run from her house to his camper. You know,
Oh yeah, that's classic.
and
It is.
yeah,
Free
it's sad.
electricity.
It's like I walked in there and and I love my dad. I felt bad. I asked Stephanie, I'm like, look, can I give him $40? Because he's the one who set it up to where we could come down there and stay for the football game and not have to worry about paying for a motel or whatever. So, I gave him the $40, and it wasn't an hour later, me and her were going shopping. And I went out there to let him know, look, we'll be back. Well, I go knock on his camper door, and he comes, and he's got blankets and sheets all covering the window, and he opens the door, and it's like, I knew right then, I was like, that $40 is gone.
That smell,
Dad,
huh?
I said, Dad, we'll be back. Love you. And I told her when I got in the car, I was like, he's high. And back before I come up here, that would have triggered me right there. I'd have sent her to the store. Look, go get me a Coke. And I ran up in there and look, give me some.
Yeah.
She's coming back. Hurry up.
Yeah.
Where it didn't faze me a bit.
It's kind of too. It sounds like you being able to detach from it and go, yeah, I love my dad. This thing's got a hold of him, and to be able to do that's really healthy too, because we want to make everything personal and he's doing so, and you start to be able to separate that and go, this is not the person that I know, as far as
Right.
who they are. But
And he's a very, very smart man. I mean,
Sure.
super smart. My grandfather retired from Motorola, and he taught him all kind of electronic stuff. And my dad's very smart. It's just he don't
something
he don't
got a
care
hold
to
of him.
you. He don't care about nothing but living his single life and smoking crack. Yeah.
Do you think that whenever he sees you that like he wants what you have?
No.
You don't?
No, I don't believe he does. I mean, if he did, he would change, because he knows what he could have if he stopped. Well, I don't know if he could have the life he really wants to live now that he's not able to work like he used to be able to, but I'm sure he sees the happiness. I know he wants that. He would like that. But as far as like him worried about money means nothing to him. Nothing. He'll go to Dollar Tree and get a can of Vienna sausage, and him and his little dog, look,
Hey,
look, put some crackers with some
Weird dog.
ramen noodles. He's telling us the other day about his little hookup he was making with his ramen noodles. Yeah, look, he brags on it.
Said,
I'm like,
Stephanie, you know about them hookups.
Yeah, we know.
Got to be creative,
Right.
Got to be creative. So Stephanie, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth. So you're in sober living by this time. You're starting in to Celebrate Recovery, and you're where as this goes along.
He was in Baton Rouge.
I'm still in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
It comes a year later,
And when
right?
well,
Whenever I got out of prison, my first call was calling him, and he looked like Skeletor death. And I cried, and I wrote on a card, God, please take the taste of drugs from Dwayne's mouth, and I just shoved it in my Bible, like we do. Who gets answered prayers?
Right.
And not even 9 months later, he was calling to tell me he was on his way. And when he got out, I went and met him, and he saw me. And at that point, I was still in this big pink cloud. I was so happy. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Celebrate Recovery. It's the best place to be on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And you're like, who am I?
And just all the time, it was filled with just so much happiness. And he saw me, and he told me I wanted that. And so I called my friend Derek and was like, let's get my brother Dwayne in. But after he got out, when we moved in together, I showed him that prayer card.
yeah.
and I wrote across it, answered.
Oh, love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh my God, I'm getting the nose tingles. You know, when you start to tear up.
Yeah.
Lacy and I were looking at some stuff last night that she had written in May, prayer stuff, and she flipped and she goes, "Look at this," and I was like, "Oh wow," we forget sometimes,
We do.
So you just jump in wholeheartedly with Celebrate Recovery, and I'm gonna ask y'all together. Give me a quick ballpark. We have a lot of AA people listen. We have a lot of people that don't know anything about it. I didn't. When I went to rehab, I didn't know what AA was. I thought if I did drugs, I couldn't go to AA because they would be like, "No, this the drug people down the street," or I didn't know any of that stuff. So I had to learn as I went. So can you give us kind of a, step work, sponsorship, those things? What is the nuts and bolts of it?
And that's what I was kind of, wanting to ask as well. Like, as you guys probably know, you got to change everything. And what did that look like for you guys?
Changing people, places, and things for sure. We can't go back to where we came from, and everything we learned up until that point was a lie. Celebrate Recovery, we work the steps. We have step study books. There's 4 step study books. We meet on Wednesday nights and work the steps. And like I said, it's just like the 12 steps of AA, but it's biblical.
So what is like step 1 for you guys? I was just curious, like how aligned.
It's the same. It just has a Bible verse that goes with it.
It's biblically, from what I've read, and I have a good friend. We saw him yesterday, my friend Quinn. He's in a CR house here in Bossier, and he's done really well, several years and he's an AA guy as well. He goes to a lot of AA meetings, and he told me, Matt, just ballpark, they put a Bible verse to each of the 12 steps.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it applies.
Okay.
It's a little more spiritual.
Step 1, we admitted we were powerless over our addictions and compulsive behaviors, that our lives had become unmanageable. I know that nothing good lives in me, that is, in my sinful nature.
And so
Okay.
y'all
Okay.
also, you can deal with multiple addictions as far as, like he kind of told me they group y'all when you have a meeting. It's like a group of people that did drugs or a group of people that had gambling or anger. It could be any type of,
We
Sex,
even have a weight,
whatever.
Yes.
weight.
eating.
Eating
After
disorder.
CR, every
Small
Friday
groups.
night after CR, we
Okay,
break
I
off
heard-
into small groups.
I heard
And
that.
there could be an anger group where if you have anger issues, you go to this small group. Addiction, food, pretty much any addiction.
Whatever your vice is, huh?
Yeah, they'll
Hurts,
make a group
habits, and
for it.
hang-ups. And if you have something that they don't have a group for, you let somebody know.
They will
They will
make
make
one.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow. Huh.
I'm going to say, too, I remember going there because I worked the AA steps, like AA and then CR. And when I went to CR, I felt love that I haven't felt in years. Like, people were saying, "I love you." And I'm like, "What do you want from me? You don't know me."
Exactly.
But it was a family that I haven't had in years.
And I think it's one of the main reasons why we were so, you guys have got a great story, and we're not even through with the story, but Jill and Mike and I doing this and starting this thing, we all had our battles to get figured out a direction to go. And for me, my dad was a pastor. So I grew up all my life in church, and I heard all this church stuff. What I know now that I didn't know then is I didn't have a relationship with God. I had other people's relationship and what I was told that God was. And I had to develop that myself, but I did that through Alcoholics Anonymous. I finally started figuring out, wait a minute, I don't have to take this list that I'm handed and say, this is what God does and is, and I don't have to do that. And so I'm so grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous because it started my relationship with God that I have today. But all that being said, that's not the only way to do it. And it is not. And there's many ways out there, and that's all we care about on this thing is folks getting back to living life and being productive and happy. And so I'm real glad y'all are on here to kind of tell us about this. And I hear
too.
bits and pieces of CR, and it is a great program. And that's cool. Y'all have that in Monroe, that many meetings. I don't think they have that many here, but it's growing. The ones they have are really big. And like I said, I have a friend. I just saw him a couple days ago, and he loves it. I mean, he loves it, and he's an AA guy too. He goes to a lot of AA meetings, but he loves his CR. So
I mean, on Friday nights there's like over 300 people.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's huge.
We have CR at the prison, work at. So
Do the CR inside. Is it Mr. Randall Greer?
I don't know. I've never. They do that like way after I leave.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that there's something recovery based for the guys there.
So good. I remember. So we did CRI on the inside whenever I was in Rabel, and I didn't get to be a part of it. My time hadn't been calculated at that point. Mm-hmm. But all the girls who got to go, they would bring their book back, and I would read it. I already knew about Celebrate Recovery steps before I got out of prison. Mm-hmm. I knew before I got out that I was going to a place that they were going, because people in the prison had told me, hey, you're going to be going to Celebrate Recovery. And I was like, what is that? And they were like, okay, well, see the book CRI, read that. Read that. And I was ready. But what I was not ready for was all the love. The why would you want to love me?
That was odd. I mean, because the same thing happens
Yeah.
in AA, and I was like, I don't know you. Like,
it was the
what?
strangest thing, and
What
I
do you
was
want
like,
from me?
"What pills are they on?" Somebody's giving these people, like you're talking about, welcome to CR. They're all doing that in AA, and I'm like, man, what's wrong with these
Oh, they're all
cats?
wanting to hug you and stuff, and I'm like,
Like, who wants to be here? And I just wanted to sit in the corner and pout. That's
yeah,
what I
it's
wanted
pretty much
to do.
back
So,
row, and
this is my life now.
But it's really like genuine love.
Yeah. And it took me a while to figure that out and realize that, and now I get it. I totally get it. And, but boy, it took a little while. I was like, these are Chris C comes on here all the time. He calls us all weirdos. He's like, and we are, it's like, who are these weirdos? Like it'd be an old lady and then it'd be some guy with tattoos all over him. And it doesn't matter the package of the person. They're all, and
so much the same.
yeah, so much the same. And it just,
people.
it's a beautiful thing, and I love hearing that about Celebrate Recovery too. But so jumping back in where y'all are at, so you've come up to Monroe near her. You go to treatment, is that right?
Yeah, I went to Lark
Okay.
rehab.
Yeah. So the changes that you had to make, coming up and getting this recovery going.
It was hard for me because, Baton Rouge is home. That's where my family is. That's where my work's been for my entire life. That's all I knew. I lived in California for a little while, but I knew I was in a safe place, And when I left Baton Rouge, I knew I couldn't go back. Mm-hmm. There's nothing there for me. Mostly all of my family's on drugs. All my friends are on drugs. For the past 10 years I was there working, 15 years I did drugs every day at work, so, and I knew I had to give that up and live up here now, this
Just
is
get
my
away
safe
from that
zone.
routine.
Right. And it is true, you have to change your people, places, and things. And I had to hang up my welding shield, and it hurt because I enjoyed welding. I love welding. And I know there's welding up here, but it's not like back home where everybody, pretty much every job you go on, you know most of the people on the job. And family, my son, I have a 19-year-old son, lives in Ornoville right outside Lafayette. I was getting him every other weekend, but the whole time I had him, I was high. So it really, you really wasn't spending quality time with him. He was just there. It was your weekend to have him, so, I had him, my mom, even though we got in our little squabbles, I miss her, but it's just something I had to decide to do.
Had to do to save your life.
This
Yeah.
is my home up here now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's hard. I mean, like, so many of us have done exactly that. I did that, moved to Monroe, got sober there. And I had to start like as a grown adult, totally over. I mean, totally. I had career change because I knew I could not go back to being a landman because I got loaded all day, every day. And that's scary for especially like your mid 30s. A lot of people get sober even later than that and having to recreate a life. And like, first of all, it's not only that, but an identity. And you're like, wait, who am I? What do I like to do? What am I going to be when I grow up? And you're like, shit, wait, I need retirement. I need a house, a car, and like, I think that compiled with like, sobriety and you have to make all new friends and you're socially inept. It is insane, the change that's required. And I don't think a lot of people really do it. And it's tough.
Yeah.
It is very tough. When you're faced with we're faced with temptation on a daily basis because we're of the world. Mm-hmm. Of course, if we keep ourselves in Jesus, then we're not of the world. We wake up in the morning and we go to work, we go to school, whatever we're doing, and that starts our worldly day. Mm-hmm. And what happens next is the temptations of life come at us. Now, did we stand and put our feet firmly planted in the ground like a mighty oak tree? Or did we just plant a mimosa tree that's going to fall over? It's your choice what you're going to do with it, too.
And I think, too, like, to tie in what y'all were talking about with Jill of changing everything, I did that, too. Other than the job, I stayed in the same field, and I'm still in it, which was kind of weird because it's probably like welding. It's a lot of drugs and alcohol. Yeah, sure. It's party time. And, I mean, literally, I'm supervising 15 or 20, 40-something guys, and every one of them's high as a giraffe's ass, and I'm sober. So that's the only two people you meet in our deal. They're either in recovery or they're wide open. And but it's become I don't want to say a ministry, but it's become a thing of actually some of those guys, I've been able to talk to them a little bit and they look at me and go, man, I don't believe all that. I don't believe all that stuff you talking about. You didn't do all that stuff. And I go, but believe me, I did. And I was doing just like you, and it's kind of that you're bouncing around going, welcome to CR. Well, they're looking at me and they're going, hey, he seems okay. Like, he's all right guy, he's not crazy or too crazy.
But they're thinking he's full of shit.
Yeah. Right? But they're like, he didn't do this. He didn't do that. And so I look at that as, because I wanted to get out of the business. I was like, I don't want nothing. I had changed states, changed everything. But I knew that I could not, and I think that's the key, it was for me. I knew that I could not go back to doing what I was doing. It was death. It was a gun in my mouth, wrecking, hit a tree. It was something, or just the stuff's going to kill me. I was going to get so jacked up it'd just die, OD or whatever. And I just didn't have another choice in the matter. That was the only other option. So it was a radical blow everything up and start over again, down to every little thing. I mean, just like, the little thing.
Eating habits. Like, I know that sounds crazy. Like, I used to love eating Fruit Loops. That's all I ate, Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
I don't eat Fruit Loops anymore.
Yeah.
I don't steal steaks from Albertsons anymore. It was either like a stolen steak or Fruit Loops.
It's bad if you're stealing ramen noodles. That's when it's bad. You
no, man.
You're falling.
I'd get that $16 steak and shove it in my purse.
You said I'm going big.
With a bottle of tequila rose.
Yeah. Well, but people are on here and they're listening and they're going, I can't go a day without something in my body to get through this day. And that's scary as hell. It's scary as hell. And we've all been in that deal. And it took for me, and I always just speak for me, but it took for me, we're blowing everything up here and we're going to start over. And I met this guy and I asked him to be my sponsor. And every little thing throughout those early days, it was like, hey, man, I have a flat tire on my car and now I'm mad. And and then an hour later, we've talked about the dang flat tire that I'm so mad about. The stuff now that I don't even.
Right.
But back then it was a big deal. I'm like, is
Huge
this the
deal.
devil giving me a flat? I'm so in my head of junk. And because I didn't know how to think as a person, not on, you're talking about looking, I don't have retirement. I was always just looking for a lighter, before. That's all I was worried about. I don't have a lighter. So and then we get out and I remember riding down the road and, my higher power has ways of giving me little subtle things. And that's what I got that first year. And I still get them, but they're little nudges of things that go, you're heading in the right direction. It's not going as fast as you want it to go, but I don't care. That's what he tells me. It's my show, not yours. But I remember driving down the road. I was about 6 months sober and I had this raggedy car, and I've talked about it before, but I'm driving in that raggedy car and I looked down in my console and there was a paycheck. My paycheck was sitting there, but it was from 2 days before and it still hadn't been cashed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God. Like I would have burnt the road up to get to Thrifty Liquor to cash that check. It'd have been on 2 wheels squealing, get out my way, elbowing old ladies buying lottery tickets. Let me get up in here.
Let me get my.
And it was not that I had any money. I was so broke. If somebody robbed me, they'd just been practicing. You know what I mean? But it was the fact of I was not in that position where I had to run and get something in my body and put that money towards that. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple of dollars, and I was like, this is a huge deal. And I just remember sitting in my car like, this is awesome. Like I have $20, or whatever. So, but I got those things and the turning of it to, I've got to start this over and I don't know what I'm doing here. And I'm going to listen to some of those people that are loving on me and doing all those things, whether I like it or not. I'm going to try it. And that was the turning point. Mm-hmm. And then it's grown from there, so, but you guys, so you're at that point of you're getting out of sober living rehab type thing. Where from there, tell us some more.
Well, whenever I was going to get out of, my exit plan for moving out of sober living, I wanted to make sure I had money saved, of course. And I started looking for a place to live. First place got turned down. I didn't have rental history. They couldn't check with Department of Corrections and see that I was good.
You paid your rent over there. Yeah. One of their best tenants. You had a bendy,
But whenever I went to move out, I decided to lay a white fleece at the door and get on my knees and pray and ask God to open the right door for me. And what happened was me and a friend were driving around and somebody called us and said, go look at this trailer, Stephanie. It was literally right around the corner from where we were living in the sober living house. And so we went and looked. The guy called me because I messaged him about it. Perfect for me. Just by myself, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, little trailer. That's all I need. I actually only needed 1 bedroom. I never had any intention of having anybody else live with me. But anyway, the man had been in prison for 10 years for the man who owned the trailer. He had been in prison for 10 years for his DUI. It was vehicular homicide. And when he got out of prison, someone had helped him step up, and he decided that he wanted to help me. So he said, instead of renting, you're going to own this.
Wow.
And I was like, what? I was trying to get like that little shack down the street, a little shotgun. It really was a shotgun going through there.
Running the extension cord over to the
running the extension cord.
Yeah.
But
American dream,
it's the man right there.
That's right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So you got that. Dwayne, where are you at this time? Y'all still talking and close? And
Yeah, I was staying in Monroe at a sober house, and it was an AA house. And Stephanie invited me to go to CR on Friday night. She said, "Come check it out. You'll love it."
It was our first Friday back after COVID.
Yeah.
So we really partied down.
Yeah.
So I went with my buddy, and I enjoyed it, and I was like, I would like to do this more often, So she was able to get me moved into a house in West Monroe by her, and it just started from there. I stayed in that house for probably 2 months, and then eventually moved in with her,
Okay.
And we go to CR. We go to Wednesday nights. We had step study on Wednesday night, and church on Sunday, and
Friday and Saturday, CR.
Friday and Saturday CR. And we just started, hanging out more and more.
And then we fell in love.
Ah.
So were y'all? So were y'all kind of romantic before
Never.
the moving in, or did y'all just were like, "Hey, we're friends, let's move in"?
We were gonna be friends forever.
Did y'all's grandmothers like drink coffee together every day?
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
we hung out
whole
all the
life.
time in Baton Rouge. We go to Mardi Gras and stay at her niece's house together, and she sleep in a bedroom, and I sleep on their niece's couch. And it was never anything romantic.
Right.
And that could be only God, that put us together like that and made
He
it
had
happen.
been trying to put us together from the time we were young. We were the ones who kept closing the door. Once we look back at it,
Well, I was more worried about my drugs than anything. I wasn't worried about trying to be, be in a relationship.
Thank
That
God.
means I'm just going to have to share with her. I ain't.
Believe me, I know. Trust me, I know.
Lord, that's so real.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You guys, that path that kind of led y'all back and forth, and it's got. There's no expectations with things. I think we get into expectations like, I'm gonna go to rehab. You were talking about your dad. If he stopped now, what would be? And I think people think in their head, or I did, if I go to rehab, and I get this whipped, I mean, I'm buying Maseratis, I'm buying a big ranch out in the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna have me a helicopter. I'm gonna be just like that dude on Yellowstone. You know what I mean?
I really thought that would happen to me.
And I was wrong on that. I was
totally
on that.
wrong.
And you know what else is different? I don't care today. I could care less.
Isn't that funny?
Like, I'm so happy with my life and the way things are, and I don't care, nor do I stress about any of that stuff. And it's a beautiful thing to watch how your life, when you let God just trust
Take the
him
wheel.
to take the wheel, and you go, okay, this is supposed to be happening, totally unexpected stuff. And that's when you know that you're trying, and that's all my job is every day, is to do the best I can. But God steers that thing, and I just have to accept when it happens. And a lot of things I look at as, this is bad. It doesn't turn out to be bad. It turns out to be it was a turning point to get me around a corner of something. And I just today, that's what's helped me so much, is I don't look at things and go, okay, panic mode, something bad's happening. Not necessarily. I go, God's trying to, trim the fat here, or he's trying to steer me in another direction because I'm trying to take control of it. And life's pretty cool. It's just pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but I think people do have that expectation of like material stuff, and we're going to do all this stuff. And I'm just so glad today that I can go sit on a tractor for 10 hours by myself with my own head. And let me tell you something. I know y'all have all been around some crazy people, but y'all ain't never been inside my head, okay? And for me and that guy,
I think we're all thinking same.
yeah, for me and that guy to be able to sit for 8 or 10 hours and never speak to anybody else and have that going on all day, that's a beautiful thing today. And I can deal with that guy up in there today. And that's been the biggest thing for me is like, I'm okay where I'm at. I'm not perfect. I realize there's lots of flaws and lots of things, but I know a place and a way to deal with them, you know?
That's right.
And I don't know if that even makes any sense, but.
Makes perfect sense.
Perfect.
So you guys have since then gotten married.
Yeah.
Married.
Okay.
We went, well, let me tell you the little story of our wedding. Someone needed a Phil Robertson book signed, and so we said we would take it and go, because he does his church service at 9 a.m. So we took it, and the entire church service, Phil Robertson looked down at Dwayne and scolded, I've been where you are. I know what you're doing. Like, I'll give you the $30 for the marriage license, and y'all come back next week, and I will marry y'all. And when I tell y'all, it didn't happen the next week, it happened the next.
Oh, wow.
And Phil Robertson is the Duck Dynasty guy. We got
Right.
people listen all over.
That don't know who.
And so the Duck Dynasty family, great family of people, good people. Just salt of the earth, awesome people. But anyway, go ahead.
So 2 weeks, there we were 2 weeks later, getting married. Bunch of Proverbs 31 girls helping put on a wedding while we got married, and has it been an easy road? No, it hasn't. I'll tell you this. Never say it can't happen to you, because right after we got married, somebody's husband had gotten sick, and I don't remember the illness, but I remember in my head saying it will never happen to me. And I bit my tongue real hard, because probably a year later we found out Dwayne had a tumor the size of an avocado pit on his brainstem. And when I tell you, when you start living sober, it is very, very important to get your feet firmly planted, get a community, be surrounded, because that could have taken both of us out. And I remember us standing in the middle of our living room when we could have gone, what are we going to do? We knew who was going to do it.
Yeah, sure.
And it happened, and he healed him. And here we are today
That's awesome.
with the walking, talking testimony. If the heroin couldn't take him out, the tumor couldn't take him out, devil, you might want to back up, boo, because I'm fierce. When I wake up, you should shiver.
I don't know if I've told this on here before. There was a guy that was I'm trying to think of how to tell this without putting anybody's business, or a guy I know that struggles with the same stuff that we do. He goes to the hospital. Something bad happened. He's sick. All of a sudden just drops out. We go to the hospital, or he does. They run a bunch of stuff on him, been heavy drug use and all that for years. He was in treatment at the time when this happened. He falls out in treatment, trying to get his stuff together, all that stuff. So he's in the hospital. I go up and sit with him one day, just checking on him, see what's happening. And he's like, man, I'm dying. Like, they just came in this morning. They said, I'm dead. Like, this is going to kill me. And I said, who did? And he said, the doctors. And I said, man, I ain't going to tell you exactly what I said, but it started with an F. And I said, them doctors. I said, they're not the big man.
That's
that
right.
They can come in and tell you all kind of stuff. You know, y'all, I sat in that room with that dude, and the nurse comes in about an hour later, right? And this guy is a nervous wreck. He's like calling family. I have an hour left, or a day left, or whatever it is. And he's crying. I'm kind of crying a little bit too. And I kind of knew this dude back in the day. We played baseball together. Nurse comes in. She's doing her little stuff up there. And me and him both, we're rednecks. We don't know what all that medical stuff is. And he says, well, what's the thing? And she goes, what do you mean? And she's just doing her little work. She's not even paying attention to him really, you know. And he starts asking her, well, what was my numbers on this? What was my? And she said, oh, no, it's fine. And he goes, wait, what are you talking about? It's fine. And she goes, no, we have a medicine. We gave you that medicine. It's knocked that back down. So it was a scare. No big deal. Y'all.
Wow.
When I'm telling you, he turned his head over and looked at me, and I just held up my hands, and I was like, what am I telling you? What are we talking about?
Wow.
And he just looked at me like, how did that just happen? And I'm like, man, it happens every day. You know, it's pretty cool. But, yeah. And, you know, I really appreciate y'all being on here today and coming in on a Sunday morning to record. And anybody in the West Monroe area, Ruston, all that, man, there's great recovery over there. Lacy kind of went to her treatment there and did her early sobriety there, and she talks so good about it all the time. And Jill ran around over there quite a bit too.
Yes, I did.
Yes, she did. So Jill is world famous. I can go anywhere if it's if it's recovery related, and I say the name Jill, it's universal. They're like, we love Jill, you know. So when we started the podcast, my mother was like our only listener, I think, at first. And it was me, Mike, and Jill. And she would go, I really wish you and Mike would stop talking so I could hear more Jill. And I'm like, sorry, Mama. You know, but anyway, guys, thank y'all for coming on.
Absolutely. It definitely was a pleasure.
Yes, it was a pleasure.